Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins. Yo, dog, Kenny Boucher here, The Long War. Joined tonight by my partner in crime, Wyatt Turk. How's it going?
What's up?
Sorry, guys, I'm not the normal guy who does this. Now, 2 weeks in a row, Rob is MIA. Last week, I suspected, and I had reason to believe, based on nothing that countered this theory of mine, that he had a stroke due to price hikes. That Games Workshop was responsible. Well, after, it was proved to me that he wasn't in a hospital and he never had a stroke. My new theory is he was simply taken for talking about the price hikes. And also, I think he was mentioning something about the Chaos release and people not getting their pre-orders. So, early word on the street is that they got him behind the Chili's in Southern Pines, out behind the dumpster, while he was taking a leak. You know, as we all have done. But hopefully we'll hear from him soon. He's right, man. He could be in Area 51 by now. But I mean, I guess Kara Quinn said he did have some YouTube shorts coming out. But I can't prove that those are not AI Rob Baer shorts. Nah, fuck it. Joking around, he's fine. I did talk to him. He's all good.
He's just on vacation.
He's just taking a break right now. So, since our last Hobby AMA episode, we've now got our hands on basically all the Chaos rules. Is this accurate?
Everything but the points. Yeah.
That's pretty fucking exciting. And that means we have some winners and losers and things that matter to us to discuss on this podcast. So that'll probably be what we do here after any type of news. And I think the only news for our table of contents was the new secret missions.
Yeah, let me just head over to the Rob Baer Memorial News Desk. Get set up here.
OnePlus saves. He says AI girlfriend should change the game. Rob is my AI girlfriend. So we got. So that's pretty news. So we can call that the news. That's pretty.
Yeah, we got the preview for the new mission deck. It's called Chapter Approved Mission Deck. Pariah Nexus. We're in Leviathan right now, then Pariah Nexus is the next deck. Let's see, we got a couple of cards. So they're talking about how some of the new mission rules give battle line units bonuses. For example, they give a new mission rule, raise banners. Says at the end of each player's turn, if a battle line unit from their army is within range of an objective marker that player controls, that unit raises a banner and you score 1 victory point, which is counted towards their secondary mission score. And that player's units can no longer raise a banner on that objective marker.
So that's a mission score.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that could be an interesting way for some armies that play the fixed game where you can't hit 100 to get a couple of extra points. It's just interesting. It's because it's to your secondary point score, right?
Yeah, didn't raise banners used to be a secondary?
Yes.
And what was it? Like True Choices raised it the same turn they started it? Or something like that?
I think so. It's hard for me to remember.
Oh wait, it was one of the only ones that was infantry and characters could do.
Yeah.
That's what was unique about it, was that a lot of things said non-character infantry. Yeah, just, we got a lot of old rules up in the old brain still.
The other mission rule they talk about is called rapid escalation, and it lets a battle line unit come in from strategic reserves in the first battle round.
Ooh.
So it is limited. You can only do battle line. It is strategic reserves rather than just regular reserves.
Board edge
you
reserves.
you have to come in a board edge. And it doesn't clarify, but I'm assuming that it will still follow the same rules as the turn counter for strategic reserves, whereas you can't enter somebody's deployment zone on the until turn 3, I think it is, and which table edges are available, that sort of thing. And it says you can only do it with up to 200 points.
So you can't no deploy somebody and still come on turn 1.
Yeah.
That's handy. That's a mission rule?
It is. There's another primary mission, so those are mission rules. Then there's a primary mission called Terraform. It says Terraform action starts in the shooting phase. One or more units from your army, each within range of a different objective marker that is not within your deployment zone and has not been terraformed. It completes at the end of your opponent's next turn or the end of the battle, whichever comes first. If the unit performing this action is still within range of the same objective marker and you control that objective marker, and if it's completed, it's considered terraformed. From the second battle round onwards, into the command phase, the player whose turn it is scores victory points up to 15 per turn. So 4 for each objective marker they control, an additional 2 for each objective marker they have terraformed. And it's cumulative. So if you have one objective marker and it's terraformed, you get 6.
What's the minimum amount of objective markers to start this action with?
What do you mean?
Well, there was a instructions on how you begin the action to terraform objectives.
Yeah, 1 or more units from your army, each within range of a different objective marker that is not within your deployment zone and has not been terraformed.
So this objective, that objective. I begin the action.
Mm-hmm.
Then a whole player cycle goes by. I'm still in control of these 2 objectives. I successfully terraformed these 2 objectives.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of the game, they're worth 4 points to me.
So you only get terraforming gets you 2 additional points. You get 4 for just holding the objective. And if you terraformed it, you get 2 more.
I see. But if the guy knocks off one of the units, you're no longer terraforming because you had to be terraforming the 2, 1 or more. Is it 1 or more objectives, or did it say 1 or more? Or
yeah.
So
it's like, if what you're talking about in this instance, like you hold the objective, you start terraforming, you complete it, that objective is considered terraformed by you, right? And for the remainder of the battle, you get 2 passive points, even if you lose the objective. Because if you terraform an objective, I cannot terraform that objective, because it says the objective has not been terraformed for you to start the action.
that's a wildly strange and unnecessarily unnecessary. I think that's like a weird one. I don't know.
It's definitely interesting.
I don't like missions that like permanently do something to the table that I have to like track. You know what I mean? I don't like that.
Talk about some new secondaries. There's one called Marked for Death.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. That's interesting. 1+7 says you can't max the primary then. So, like, that means you can remove it from somebody's ability to score, so you can remove it from their access to primary?
You can still hold objectives for primary points. So if you do it and I take the point, I get 4 points for holding that objective in my command phase. You get an additional 2 points if you terraformed it.
Me, the opponent, though, you've terraformed that objective.
You cannot terraform it after it's been terraformed. Because it says to start the action, it says on a different objective marker, not within your deployment zone, and has not been terraformed. Terraformed is a bolded keyword.
Damn.
So when something is terraformed, it's terraformed.
And this is in the place of the more textbook primary mission we're used to?
Yeah, it's just an additional primary mission.
Wacky. Not a fan. I like simple.
So you can still, so let's see. So there's 4 turns of scoring. So let's see. So if you held, let's say 2 4 is 32. Did 12 times 4. So I mean, like, technically you could just hold the entire game without terraforming and still score more than your allotted 45 primary. And then if you only held 2, that's 32 points. And then you have an additional 13 that you could try to get from terraforming. So, like, if you want to max out your primary, like if you want to try to get that 45, like you do need to be terraforming stuff, but you can still score primary by holding points.
Wow. It's growing on me.
Okay. New secondary Marked for Death. When drawn, your opponent must select 3 units from their army on the battlefield. If there are only 1 or 2 units from their army on the battlefield, they must select those units. If there are no units from their army on the battlefield, discard this card and draw a new secondary. Any battle round at the end of either player's turn, 1 or more of the selected units were destroyed or removed from the battlefield for any other reason, get 5 points.
I hate those kind of cards too.
I fucking hate these two. This is just another tempting target. This is, bro. Whoever is writing these decks, if you hear this, or people listening, tell Games Workshop, these types of secondaries are fucking stupid. Yeah. Stop putting them in the game.
We don't need more cards you can't score. We need less of those.
This whole, like, taking agency away from the player, and this, so we talk about this on the podcast a lot. Rules that cause, like, player feels bads mechanically, just like in the way that they work, are not good for the game, right? We've talked about this a million times. So the reason that tempting target sucks is because what's your opponent going to do? They're always going to pick the one that is either the hardest for you to get or that you cannot physically get. So it wastes your secondary card, and it feels bad because you're like, no matter what I do, I can't score this objective. This fucking sucks, right? This is another one of those where it's like, oh, I'm just going to pick these, like, 3 units in my backfield castle that you cannot interact with this turn or next turn, and it just wastes that card for you.
I'm going to take that card and I'm going to take white out to it and rewrite it to say, turn this card in at the end of your turn for free CP. Like, yeah, that's going to be my deck. I'm going to flip it and be like, oh, it's my free CP. I get this card says I get CP if I discard this at the end of my turn. He's like, that's not a real card. It is, trust me.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, it's free CP, but also it's like, how do you win the game? It's not by generating CP, it's by scoring points.
No, yeah. It's like playing Monopoly.
And it's a CP at the end of your turn. So maybe that one CP could help you score a lot of points or even win the game that turn if you got it at the top of your turn for discarding. But because you discarded at the end of your turn, then the only thing you can use that CP on is a reactive stratagem or your next turn, which you may not even have a next turn, right?
Yeah, it's shit. I hate those.
I hate these second. It's such a dumb thing. You seem to get out of here.
I mean, like, balance it then. Like, literally, GW. You're allowed to, when it comes to a card like this, someone has to pick, right? And you're saying the person who's picking is the person who's got the biggest advantage right now. But no one said that only one of us got to pick. You could say the defender picks 2 units and the drawer of the card picks 1 unit. You could say that. You're allowed to actually create a balance within the wording as a rule company. Think about it. You take the other card, the fucking, what's the other one called that we hate?
Tempting target.
Take the same thing. Say the player who draws this card selects 1 unit from the opponent's army. That is a tempting target. And the opponent picks 2. Those are also tempting targets. You could just do that. So I can be like, well, these motherfuckers I'm literally about to kill. I get those points. You can't stop me, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, balance it out.
Yeah, these got to have some type of way for like the active player to have agency.
Yeah. Give me 33% of the agency in that score. And suddenly it's not a bad card. It's just a card. Like, it's actually playable. I play lots of secondaries and I just get my quick 4 points or whatever, you know what I mean?
See, the last thing to talk about is the new mechanic. They're called secret missions. So they're replacing gambits with secret missions. And if the previous cycle of cards is any indication, these are probably not even going to make their way into real tournament play. But the way these work is they're kept hidden from your opponent until the end of the game. So you draw these and then like only the active player knows what's actually on there. So at the end of the 3rd battle round, starting with the player who went second, you can choose to undertake a secret mission if your VP for the primary mission is less than or equal to your opponent's. And you pick one. There's no random draw. And you hide it. And at the end of the game, if you've completed its special condition, you'll earn 20 victory points. And if you pick a secret mission, you cannot score more than 20 victory points from your primary mission. So, I mean, it's just like a different way of doing the gambit kind of things, which is cool for like regular games. Like these are neat. The idea of them, I don't have a problem with, but probably not going to make their way into actual tournament play, just like gambits.
I wouldn't mind something to exist like that. As long, you know what I mean?
I guess it depends. Like we've had like secret missions in the past, like factions. Some factions had the ability to like stop you from knowing what their thing was, but once you score it, it's revealed. And people have mixed emotions on that. Yeah. Like if some people think that like for competitive stuff, we need to have like every factor in a game be like a known quantity, like the terrain and different things like that, so that it's like the most fair setting possible. Other people think that
hard to argue with.
Dumb. Yeah,
hard to argue.
So it's like I don't think anybody is wrong. Like, if you like these or you don't like these, there's no wrong answer. Like, I personally don't think we need something like this in actual tournament games, but for just playing the game in a match play way, I think they're pretty cool.
I can get behind that. Like for surezies. Yeah, Kara Quinn said something in chat. He said they did put the word action back in, hopefully better than the eligible to shoot. I do like something about keywords that we before was like the concept of an action had a whole page dedicated to it, right? So we all knew what actions meant. You didn't have to like see this one, like action equals this. So once we all learned that, which was very easy, like we knew. And so I agree with that. He said, with any luck, they'll make objective control 0, not eligible for actions. I don't agree with that, Kara Quinn, but there's definitely, I think that there's very little purpose to those units if they can't score actions.
Right. There's also there's some weird stuff. So I think clearly defining action as like kind of the way it used to be, where it's like this unit gives up their activation to do this thing, to score you points, right? And there was the weird like eligible to shoot. Well, what does eligible to shoot mean? And like that had to get defined. And you had units that like don't have ranged weapons, but are still eligible to shoot for some reason, which is kind of, there's like some cognitive dissonance there. And then beyond stuff being OC0 and doing actions, there are units in the game that have abilities that let them do an ability that still causes damage and lets them do what we think of as an action right now. Like an example is like a Grey Knight Librarian, because they have an ability that is like a ranged attack that does damage to an opponent. It's not an attack and it's not a ranged weapon. It's an ability, but he's like doing mortal wounds to shit. And they can still do like something that would normally give up their shooting phase and score points. And so interactions like that in the game kind of feels bad. So it's like if they clearly define action as like this unit is giving up its activation this turn to do this, like it cannot do anything else but this.
Yeah.
Right. And then people can still like do these things and like fight in the fight phase and other stuff like that. So it's like really hard to actually stop them unless the whole unit is wiped out. Different things like that.
Yeah, I can get behind a better definition. So that's pretty good. That's pretty spicy news. We got a new cycle of coming out, new mission pack, new season.
Yeah.
Love that.
Be a nice shakeup. Some new primaries, some new mission rules, new secondaries. I'm all for it.
Yeah, some of the spiciest moments of the 9th edition were when they were seasonal play.
Love seasons.
Yeah. Yep. There's a couple of guys who are playing Season 4 Diablo 4 right now. I love seasons. So I like it when they creep in new stuff,
Mm-hmm.
New mechanics. So is that it for our news segment?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just do a quick commercial break, talk to our sponsors, and then we'll cover the Chaos Space Marines leaks. BaronofDice.com, the official dice sponsor of the Long War podcast. Use promo code LongWar5 for 5% off. If you're looking for a superior dice manufacturer, then look no further than Baron of Dice. Custom artwork, faction representation, and crisp razor edge square dice. Remember to use promo code LongWar5. Again, that's BaronofDice.com, the official dice sponsor of this podcast.
For the best game aids and peripheral tools for wargaming, check out our friend J15Games.com. From wound counters and dials to faction rule trackers, these are the coolest tools out there. Designed to be functional and intuitive, these tools help you stay organized and speed up your game. Their flagship product, the Nesting, Movement, and Combat tool, is absolutely amazing. A magnetized measuring widget that splits into 3 different size tools for every situation. And you can get it in 8 different colors. J15 also offers custom ordered dice trays made from hardwood and leather. Check them out at j15games.com. That's j15games.com.
And we're back. Yeah, Space Marines. We got a fucking repository of imager leaks all over the internet, full PDF downloads, screenshots, phone pics. We know everything except the points. That's fine. Gotta have something to look forward to. And so I guess the real topic, back in the day when we started this podcast, like 10 years ago, we would just read everything that came out. And we've since evolved to that. To more like, what are we excited about, right? So so Chaos Space Marines has been dominating the scene kind of since launch of the 10th
Very
edition.
strong faction. They were toned down in a balance data sheet, balance patch, whatever we want to call it.
Hot fix.
So not oppressive, but still a very solid faction. Now they're getting their codex, and they're getting a pretty large increase in their suite of rules. 8 detachments, a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, Chaos is near and dear to you and me. We are huge fans. And so we're always keeping our eyes out for the rules. Now, what we've been playing, the index rules, this Slaves of Darkness, it's now called Pack-Bound Zealots. Is that right?
Yeah, so that detachment has been put into the codex. It's been reworked slightly, but it's the same vibe. Like, you got your chaos marks, all that stuff, and it's the only detachment where stuff takes chaos marks.
Which is actually pretty cool because that's a staple of chaos play, is the marks. But that's not the staple of all lore. So I found it interesting. They did something crazy here. So, like, you know how they're giving us all these detachments that we all know, it's a Ravenwing detachment. We know that's an Iron Hands detachment. We know that's black, like whatever it is. But they don't say that now because GW has kind of inverted their stance where they used to be like Red Marines or Blood Angels, period, end of discussion. They literally published that once.
Yeah.
Okay? That's hard. That's like I barely ad-libbed that. Like, they literally, that used to be their stance, bro. Not that long ago. And now they're saying, like, Marines are Marines, fuck it. You got a collection? Play it. Like, you got your models? Right. Do what you got to do. So they've gone to creating these detachments which have the absolute flavor and naming convention of these historic codexes, but they're not codexes. They're just detachment rules within the one codex. And so you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want. And that is dope because anybody who's new to this hobby who thinks maybe they lost a little flavor, no. You don't know what it's like to go through an entire edition as like an Iron Hands fan, for example. And they came out with the Iron Hands book and it's just trash. It's not good. Or how about this? It's fine, but the Black Templars is better. Or the Black Templars is fine, but the Ultramarines is better. But the Ultramarines is fine. The Blood Angels is better. So because these are these completely different books, you constantly have losers. Now that it's a single book and it's just a name and it's a labelless detachment, go fucking nuts, son. It's dope. And so coming back to Chaos, we obviously have a list just like that. We'll name them. But the Pack-Bound Zealots, the newly named, are kind of historic Chaos. They are the Chaos that we all know. We got with marks and marks do things. I mean, if you've been playing this game from back in the day, Mark and Nurgle +1 toughness. That's how old that shit is. Like, Mark and Corn +1 attack. The marks are always doing stuff. And then I remember it always being weird because some people would be like, I'm playing Iron Warriors. But there are no restrictions on your marks. And they'd have like still the best marks in slot for everything, right? And I remember like some purists would be like, yeah, man, that's like you're just using Iron Warriors though for the shooting nonsense. And you're still hyper optimizing when their lore is clearly they're not marking themselves and they do occasionally work with Corn Berserkers, right? Like I remember hearing that. Stuff like that. Well, these detachments kind of bring that lore into it. Right? Like it's crazy how it kind of waters it down slightly, where it's like, this is not Night Lords, this is anyone. But this is the rules and how you play this faction.
Yeah, the detachments are closer to an expression of playstyle rather than an expression of like lore. So if you like Chaos Space Marines, but your jam is, I want to bring like chonky Terminators, I want to bring tanks. Those are like the coolest models to me. I want to play that. Well, there's a detachment for that. And it doesn't force you to be like Iron Warriors because maybe you have your own warband, or maybe you're just like a big Black Legion fan, something like that. But you can still have that play style without being locked into, well, if I want to play Black Legion, I have to abide by like this suite of rules. So it's like really cool. I like what they're doing with this. Unfortunately, the internal balance of this codex is not what we hoped it would be, because there are some clear winners and losers. Like detachment A and B are fantastic, and then like these other detachments, total dog shit. So as far as like writing rules for a codex like this, there's still some improvements that need to be made in the future, but overall, the ways to play chaos are various and gives you a lot of choice.
No, agreed. Kara Quinn says, I think the way of not naming legions is just, you can paint them any way you want, whether it's Space Marines or Chaos Marines for legion. Yeah, that's like, and that's the stance I was talking about. That's 180 degrees, man. GW used to be the exact opposite of that. They were absolutely Legion Nazis. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But so it's fucking hype. And I guess One Plus Saves does make a good point where he says like they have marks. It's just that they don't do anything, right? Like they don't interact with the crits and stuff like that. And I don't think anyone else has stratagems that do anything with marks, right?
No.
Yeah. So Pack Bound Zealots, they have the 4 stratagems that are tied to the 4 marks that anyone can use, but you get it like a twofer if you're marked. But which you are, because you must be marked. So interesting. So hit me with, who do you think hit me with the winners list first.
So the debate right now is between 3 detachments. There's the Veterans of the Long War detachment, which is your Black Legion coded style detachment, and it's like the Space Marine Gladius detachment, but different, maybe a little bit lesser. So they get a rule called Focus of Hatred, and your whole army, excluding cultist units, just you pick a unit and you get full hit rerolls against that unit for the turn. Right. So it's Oath of Moment, but it excludes cultists. And it's got some tactical flexibility to it. So it's similar to Gladius, but not the same. But it's like people are just comparing it to that because it has the same like army rule. But as far as enhancements and stratagems go, it's different. The other one is the Pack-Bound Zealots, which is Slaves to Darkness rebranded, changed slightly. And the third one is Raiders and Reavers, which is the Red Corsairs coded detachment. So their army rule is everybody gets the assault ability, and anytime you target something that's on an objective marker, you get a bonus to your AP. And some of their objectives also deal with like targeting stuff on objectives.
What do you get for interacting? They get extra AP.
Right. So the whole army has assault weapons, which means you can advance and shoot, you can advance and do actions, like all that kind of stuff. They've got a Armor of Contempt style stratagem, because I think they took out they did. So they took out the universal Armor of Contempt kind of thing. So with Space Marines, you get Armor of Contempt, and like every Space Marine detachment can take it, right? With Chaos, like that's not the case. So Raiders and Reavers, they get Unfailingly Obdurate, and it's for everything except cultists. and you get to worsen the AP of incoming attacks, right? They have one that gives you reroll hit roll and reroll wound roll against stuff
On objectives?
So that one it's for stuff that disembarked from transports. And then if you're on an objective or the unit targeted is on an objective, you get all the rerolls, stuff like that.
So, I mean, that's pretty good.
There's a lot of good reaction stratagems. So you have your AOC, you have the offensive stratagem where you pile out of a transport and just blast something, or you pile out and just like chop it up real good if it's on an objective. You've got one that lets you do a move at the end of the fight phase. So if you're regular, you can move 6. If you're mounted, you can move 12. And if you did not disembark from a transport that turn, you can fall back into a transport. So it's almost the same as the Firestorm stratagem. So if you're not within engagement range at the end of the fight phase, you can make a normal move, right? If you're mounted, you can make a 12-inch normal move. And as long as you didn't like hop out in the same turn, you can hop into a transport. So that one's super utility, very good. You can give a unit precision in the fight phase if they're on an objective, if the target is on an objective marker. You can do an auto advance for transports and mounted units. And then what's this other one? You can advance and charge. And if you select one or more units within range of an objective marker as a target, you get +1 to the charge. So infantry and mounted can advance and charge, and then +1 if your target's on an objective. So I mean, it's still thematic. Remember how like in the last edition, the Red Corsairs detachment was actually pretty cool, but it was all themed around like stealing objectives, like stealing important stuff, stopping you from coming in on the board, like that kind of thing. So this is the same thing. Like everybody's lightning fast assaulting all over the place, auto advancing, you get advance and charges. But a lot of your restrictions are like, you got to be targeting stuff on objectives.
Seems like they do well, like a Rhino Rush.
Yeah, maybe so. So like rhinos, mounted units, jump pack units, even Land Raiders have their place. Because I mean, like you can hop out of a Land Raider after it moves and you have assault ramp, all sorts of fun stuff.
So that's your winner? That's your big pick?
I would say I like this one the most. I'm biased because I think Red Corsair is the coolest Space Marines.
I think it's hard to argue with.
I'm also biased because like I've been playing Firestorm, and this gets you some of the same tricks as Firestorm, and I like how that feels. What I am personally most excited about with CSM is actually the Soulforge pack because, you know, I love my demon engines.
Dick hard all day. So Raiders and Reavers, I think it's easy to see why it might be the winner. Where do you think it stacks versus the index rules, like the pack bounce zealots?
It's hard for me to like say because like I haven't played Chaos this edition, so I've kind of ignored a lot of the pack-bound zealots stuff. You would probably be better at commenting on that because you have been playing that index attachment.
So that's the index. I think that, so I feel like the Soulforge pack discussion might help enlighten a little bit of my feelings on it. I think it's good. I think it's undoubtedly amazing. Someone in chat, Jimmy Norris, said the Red Corsairs is dope as a Night Lords player. See, like there's what we're talking about. We have the obvious Night Lords detachment, but my man over here is a Night Lords player, and he's like, nah, I'm playing Raiders and Reavers, baby.
Yeah, it's because once again, they made the Night Lords, quote unquote, detachment all about battle shock stuff, and it's trash. It's absolute garbage.
For literally a decade, I've been telling you to stop with that shit. Stop.
Two of the biggest losers are the Night Lords one and the Alpha Legion one.
So I feel that the Pack Battle Zealots might be the best faction still, or best detachment still, just for the simple fact that it kind of lets you do anything. Like, you can experience all of chaos, all of the wackiness, without losing any power. Now, let's talk about the Soulforge pack, something near and dear to us. Now, Wyatt and I, we both got on the fucking hype train. This is back when, fucking, not Red Corsairs, who's the other ones? Dirty Mike and the Boys, the tag. That's not Corsairs, was it? Was that Corsairs?
Which edition are we talking? 8 or 9?
8, when we got Dirty Mike and the Boys, where you got the extra CP.
I mean, I think
Was that Red Corsairs?
that was also
that also
was like
Red
the original Soulforge pack.
So there used to be an attachment. I think maybe it was the Red Corsairs attachment where you got extra CP if you had like 3 identical data sheets, and it could be you had to have like 3 of them repeated, and if it was Legionnaires, it was like double. And so like
okay, yes, I remember what you're talking about.
So this is back in 8th edition when you got CP for your detachment. So you got a battle forged detachment, whatever the fuck it was called, battalion.
Yes.
And the cheapest way possible into that was 3 5-man squads and a fucking warpsmith. That was Dirty Mike and the Boys.
Yes, okay, I remember this now. Yes.
Cheapest fucking CP bump of all time. And then you could play your 3 Thermal Knight fucking
right.
Chaos Knights.
Yeah. I remember now because like I don't
it was Red Corsairs,
but I have the Boys.
It was
like,
Red Corsairs.
I have those models now.
Because they could advance and charge. It literally was Red Corsairs. And so that's how it started, guys. When the new Chaos shit came out, me and Wyatt were like, all over that fucking dick. I met her. I was on this podcast. I'm the one, guys, who got the Chaos Codex, the Chaos Knights Codex, released early. That was me. On this podcast. I said, Games Workshop, if you drop it early, because no one knew it was going to be this week or next week. And I was like, if you drop it before Slaughterfest, I'll suck a hobo's dick.
Yeah.
That's when it all started. It's 8th edition. That was me. I'm the fucking guy.
Took one for the team.
I did. And so me and Wyatt got big on that bandwidth. So Dirty Mike and the Boys, that's the Red Corsairs attachment that I just listed. It's just Dirty Mike and the guys and the 3 Thermal Knights. Well, this is how it evolved. It evolved, well, why can't it be 3 Disco Lords and 3 fucking Legionnaire squads? Why can't it also be that? And 3 Thermal Knights, maybe 2 Thermal Knights. You know what I mean? Like, so quickly we were coming up with our own Soulforge pack, right? We were running 3 Disco Lords, Red Corsairs. They all had advance and charge. You'd give them all marks and you give them some fucking bullshit Warlord trait and relic. You put a bunch of points to them. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
And then you had your 3 Thermal Knights. Then they actually gave us fucking rules. Right, for a formation, and in that formation, we got a demon engine formation. We got actually a warlord trait warlord trait that made everyone move faster. It's like 2-inch movement buff, and a stratagem for advance and charge. So now you could combine a better Legion rule, like, what was it, Soul Drinkers or some dumb shit? The one that like was this one that popped off on infinite attacks. It had basically sustained hits.
Yeah.
So then you can combine it with, so we went off on this, dude. We had, what was that little fucking corn demon engine that we liked?
Blood Slaughter.
We had 3 Blood Slaughters, 3 Maulafines, 3 fucking Disco Lords. We had all of it. All of it. So now here we are. They've brought it back. Soulforge back. Tell me about it.
So the formation rule for them is when you take a Dark Pact, you can choose to do it at a -1. And if you do that, you get +1 to wound or +2 attacks.
+1 to wound. Ooh, that's real good.
On top of your normal Dark Pact stuff. So there's some combos that are already there, right? So other than damned units, I think everything is going to be like a 6, unless you're like a big boy character, it might be a 5. So like your Mauler Fiend is going to be doing his Dark Pact on a 7.
But to do this special one.
Yeah, and so you do your Dark Pact. You can choose +2 attack if it's, and then you can also choose sustained or lethals. And then they've got some interesting things like you can, for 1 CP, nominate a vehicle, any vehicle, and give it the demon keyword, because all of these bonuses are like you have to have the demon keyword, and it's got to be a vehicle. So one of the big kind of like letdowns is because the Lord Disco is a demon but mounted and not a demon vehicle, he cannot benefit from that rule. But you can do something like take your Chaos Vindicator, which are very good, and give it the demon keyword. So all of a sudden, when your Vindicator does Dark Pacts, it can get the +1 to wound for its Demolisher Cannon. There's some stratagem support, like there's one that lets you in the movement or charge phase pass through a terrain feature as if it's not there.
Ooh, that one is hype.
Just Kool-Aid manning through walls. Very cool. There's a enhancement that lets you get full hit rerolls, which is pretty tight.
It's an aura. Yeah,
it's an aura.
Yeah.
It's very small though, so
it's for a warpsmith, like who already has a small aura.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's clearly synergetic with the guy who has the 3-inch your +1 to hit rule anyway, who is also a lone op if he's close to the vehicle. So like imagine a Lord of Skulls standing next to this guy, full hit rerolls, hit on 2s, and +1 to wound, right, on that Gatling cannon now. Now that Gatling cannon is in a different category. And there's a stratagem, right, for +1 AP, right?
Off the top of my head,
I believe, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a +1 AP. So you for an enhancement and a stratagem, you'd increase the AP of this guy's weapon. 12 shots, hit on 2s, full repulse, AP 3 now, +1 to wound. Bro, that is a completely different power level for that Gatling cannon.
Yes, lots of cool stuff. Like Vashtor is still kind of a utility character. He is tougher than he used to be, which is nice. So he's got a good save, good toughness, a lot of wounds. He still has his friendly aura of giving out +1 strength, which is actually kind of cool because it does apply to guns. So
and the Gatling gun is the only gun that really benefits from on the Lord of Skulls chassis because it's strength 8.
Right.
Going to 9 and +1 to wound from the pack is a pretty solid.
Yeah, there's some interesting breakpoints you can do with some of these units. One of the clear winners for that is Venom Crawlers. Takes them to strength 7. Strength 7 +1 to wound is pretty tight. Then he has an additional thing where if you target him within 18, he makes your opponent's guns hazardous.
Fucking love it. That's such a better rule. That's awesome.
Right. And like his hammer is actually pretty cool.
Anti-armor too.
It's got anti-vehicle 4-up devastating wounds.
4 devastating wounds, that's right.
So like he can clap some vehicles.
He'll clap
like
a tank, yeah.
Right.
So any change? So speaking of the Lord of Skulls, any changes? We don't know the points, but any changes to his profile that you can see?
Let me find him. Here he is. Still moves 8, toughness 13, 3-up, 5-up, 24 wounds, OC 8, so that's all the same. Deadly demise D6 +2, that's the same.
Ability.
So in the fight
shock
phase after this, still a battle shock.
God,
So
I hate that thing.
Yeah. I don't think his data sheet is any different.
All right, fair. So the Soulforge pack is sick. So like this is why I said I can comment more after, because I looked at this and saw a lot of my friends were like knows that we're hype about Soulforge pack. And I think a lot of Chaos people can get behind this, right? Is that big, fun robot monsters from the Chaos Space Marine Codex are fun, but they've been hard to play. And this is the first time that like Forge Fiends have ever been good. And Mauler Fiends have always been like they're not bad, they're not good. But suddenly with like access to going through walls, stratagems, extra AP, plus one to wound stratagems, enhancements that let you get full rerolls. You're talking about different damage output here. Now, the thing, so a lot of people were like, Kenny, so you playing New Soul Forge with your list? You're just gonna slide it right in? And I was like, I thought about it, but no, it's not right. I can't. And so to my point earlier, where like you play a lot of that chaos nonsense, right? Like I want to have access to all the chaos stuff, right? My possessed don't do anything in this army. Like don't take them. They're not good. But like in the pack bound zealot army list, they have mark undivided. They do a pack. They get sustained 6 and they reroll ones they hit. And then they do profane zeal and get full wound rerolls for devastating wounds. That shit turns everything in the game off. Like same unit in the Soulforge pack or in the Soulforge pack doesn't turn half of things off. It's completely different damage scale. Same thing. I want to play with my Blitz. I want to talk about the wackiest, most historically relevant fucking chaos icons is the Obliterator, dude. That thing has been the wackiest little model since the dawn of time. Mm-hmm. It's been like this weird thing that chaos had since the beginning. And part of what makes them sick is access to marks and the critical roll on a 5. Simultaneously, the other stratagems. Like, it's sick that you can drop in some Blitz and then let's say they're Nurgle, which is very common, so they get sustained 5, but then you can dark obfuscate them. That's sick. Or my favorite is Zinch. Drop in with the Zinch ones, get lethal hit 5, and I can use Skin Shift, which is one of those cool skills or stratagems I was talking about, where you heal up to 3 wounds. That's what his stratagem does. And if you're Zinch, or you bring a guy back to life of full wounds. That's pretty good on Obliterators, right? And so you see, what that also is really good on? A fucking goddamn Lord of Skulls, bringing 3 wounds back when he's next to a Warpsmith who's going to bring D3 wounds back. Bro, so you see how the way my army functions right now as I envision it, I've got a little this chaos, a little that chaos. I got the Lord of Skulls. He's obviously a big feature of my list, right? Because he slaps. Like Lord of Skulls, I don't have to tell Wyatt anything about Lord of Skulls. He's got 2. He's got 2 and he's painted them twice. Like my man is a legend. But I also got War Dogs because I want some of that fucking ally action. They don't benefit. So I have to completely take my list, take some of the most fun looking units. I have to take them out. Like no Blitz, no fucking possessed. But I have to just go down a completely different route. And that's cool, but it would make my army weaker. Like if to play Soulbound. But what I would do if I had 2 Lord of Skulls is 100% I'd be playing fucking the Soulforge pack. Like no doubt. That shit was made for a double Lord of Skulls chaos list. Like those stratagems. The reroll to hit aura, the extra AP, the run through a wall stratagem alone is like, you're just cutting the corner through a wall. That how hard it is to move yes. That. And the problem with GW layout terrain is the way they do the way they do them is the Lord of Skulls is always a whole turn away from actually using towering. Every game I've played, basically. And so once I get there, now I can bust through the side of this wall, and like that's a completely. Having played them a few games, I like on layout terrain. I'm like, bro, I would suck a hobo's dick for that strategy.
There's some really cool ones. Like there's also some play. Like they have a stratagem called Predatory Pursuit in the movement phase, and it's after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move. If there's a vehicle within 9 inches of that enemy unit, you can make a normal move up to 6.
Yeah.
Because there's been times where you're like, okay, I want to like tag this unit so that like it can't shoot or something like that. But there are factions that have fallback and shoot, or like fallback and do something else. Whereas now you play the stratagem for 1 CP and just be like, nope, you're still in engagement range, dude.
Dude, it's so dirty. Like that is there are some winning stratagems in that deck, and I know for sure you're brewing a double Lord of Skulls cast list. So much stronger than the World Eaters variant. Like,
Been thinking about it.
bro, like, dude, that Gatling cannon gives me nightmares now. Like that. It's just, bro. Like, I think it's less tactically flexible, but that's the nature of the Soul Force pack. Is that that's the nature. That's what its nature.
Yeah, there's like two ways you can do it. You can go into like a bully mode and have like the double Lord of Skulls with Warp Smiths. You can take like Vashtor, stuff like that. You can definitely do that. The other way is you can still create like a pretty cool Soul Forge like stat check army, and you can have like 8, 10, 12 vehicles, something like that. You can have like 2 Forge Fiends, 2 Vindicators, 2 Mauler Fiends, 2 Venom Crawlers.
You can have board. You get the board taken over. Like,
yeah.
There's
lots to play.
There's lots to play.
Is it one of the best attachments? No, but it'll be fun.
You can definitely catch some people slipping.
Oh yeah,
like you definitely can win more than you lose with it. You know, like I love it. And Vashar has a little play, Quinn. He does. He, as we mentioned before, he now has his negative aura is when people shoot him, their weapons become hazardous. So that gives.
So his thing is, he still gets +1 strength, and then each time an enemy unit within 18 of this model targets this model until the end of the phase, that enemy unit's range weapon have hazardous.
We got so many points he is. He honestly has play right now if he's cheaper. His points are off.
Yeah.
Because
we got to see too, because like, so he's toughness 10 now. He's got a 2 up and a 4 up. He's got 14 wounds. He's OC3. So like just out the gate, he's like tougher to take off the board than like a Lord Disco.
So they did up his because he was only T9 before, right?
Yeah.
So they did change his wound break point, and he does have more wounds than a traditional Demon Prince. He's 190 currently, and a traditional Demon Prince is 180. So 190. They made his negative aura better, like his bad aura. They made it better. They made him tougher. So 190 might be okay. Like for a 2 up,
right?
For a 2 up, 4 up.
Yeah. So I've already made like just like an archetype list, factoring in that stuff might be slightly more expensive and enhancement costs. And it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chaos vehicles. You get Vashtor, you get a Demon Prince with wings. Also have a cultist unit for dumb shit. Also have a Nurgle unit for dumb shit. And then a sorcerer and Terminator armor and a unit of Terminators just for tech. And so like you can do it and you still have a good action economy. You still have a bunch of tough units on the table. You still have stuff that can shoot, still have stuff that can fight. Vashtor is like, I don't know. Like, so the way that we think about things like the Lord Disco, Demon Princes, Vashtor, stuff like that, not since like 8th edition, I'd say, can those units just roll up to whatever they want and gank them? Like those days are long past. The only thing they can do that really now is like Abaddon. Vashtor is something that can hang around, give out his buffs, be a threat, but he's a late game guy. Same with your Demon Prince. Same with the Lord Discordant, right? They're a late game guy. They can move really far. They can go touched up. They can fight pretty good. And then like, I don't know, he's got 6 attacks hitting on 2s, strength 14, AP2, 3 damage, and he's got anti-vehicle 4+ with dev wounds. So on the wound roll, every 4 up dice is 3 flat mortal wounds to a vehicle.
Yeah, he might be just good enough to justify his point tag. As a guy who's played a lot of Demon Prince action in this edition now, like I'll still take a 180 point not Vasher over Vasher from the dark, like especially from the Pack Bound Zealot faction. You get just so many more options. There were so many more threat angles. But I've always wanted to take Vasher right? But my big problem with him was like, even though he had more wounds than Demon Prince, he was still only toughness 9. He doesn't slap. Like he has no slap like add-ons, right? Like it's like this. His stats are his stats, but if you put him in the right place, he can be a problem for somebody. But I've always felt like half his rules were garbage, which was the 18-inch vehicle, like you enemy vehicle rule he had. I was like, so like just half his rules are garbage. Just you can use that. It's a nonsense rule. So I like it now. So I feel like I would try to find a place for 190, as long as I had the right bullets to benefit from his aura. Like, and so
Yeah, that's why I like the Venom Crawlers.
yeah, Venom Crawlers make a lot of sense. Yeah, I like that. Well, and also like now that you have a +1 strength and a +1 wound, that's magic. That's magic. I love that. You know, but so I can't wait to see what these points shake out to be, because anxious. You know, we got a lot of great point drops and point increases. Like everything has been fair. So I can't wait to see what.
Yeah. And so it's going to be a weird thing because, like, so we know that. So this book is coming out on its own, which means we don't have to wait to play it like the box set books like Tau. So we're going to have like book points, and then probably like 4 to 6 weeks after the book comes out, there's going to be an MFM update just for that book where the points will change. And so then we're going to have to like adapt to that. And then let's see, when was our last MFM? It was last month, right?
Yeah.
So like somewhere in like August, we're going to get another like big sweeping balanced data slate MFM update.
That sounds right. I mean, I feel like they just did the points, so it's probably just applies to this right now. Like they probably felt like they've already done it because it was in this book, right? Like, I'm what I'm excited about is the possibility of playing a brand new set of army rules with new stratagems, because there are stratagems I covet in other in other detachments within the cast list now. Mm-hmm. So I love that I have new aspirations, the endless hustle. Right? I've got this one idea of playing the game, which the second I get bored of, now I have a new idea. So this is exciting for all the chaos homies out there. And I'm excited that you're jumping on the get back to your Demon Ninja roots. How many Mauler Fiends are in your list?
2.
How many Discos?
No Discos right now.
Forge Fiend?
No Forge Fiends. I think Forge Fiends are a little too expensive. And I can take a Vindicator.
Yeah, you know, without the Crit 5 pack.
Yeah. So in this list that is subject to change, I have 3 Venom Crawlers, I have 2 Mauler Fiends, 2 Vindicators, and 2 Hellbrutes. And then I'm putting the reroll enhancement on the Demon Prince with wings. And so you have Vashtor and the Demon Prince, and they have kind of like their own like murder balls, right? And then the cool thing about Hellbrutes is their ability gives you both benefits when you Dark Pact. So you can have a Chaos Vindicator, which I can nominate one per turn to become a Demon Engine, so it can get the Dark Pact rule for the formation. So all of a sudden, its Demolisher Cannon is +1 to wound, and then it has both lethal and sustained hits.
Yeah, I have a Hellbrute in my list. I love those. And there's probably some situation where making him a Demon Engine might mean something.
It could be, yeah. I mean, like you have those 5 turns, generate your CP. There's lots of play there for some late game power. And then, like I said, just have unit occultists, unit of Nurglings. I think Nurglings are just going to be like fucking almost every list you see.
Trying to take 3 units. I'll tell you the significance of it is what's that fucking name of the what's the name of the secondary where you have to be in the corners?
Investigate signals.
Yeah. So every game I play, that's where I put them. Is in the corners.
Sure. Yeah. Like,
and literally, and then I wait for that card to show up, get the score, but they also are always near another score. So like 1 unit of Nurglings doesn't do a whole lot.
The only reason I have it in there is just because there's 2 big meta matchups, the Tau and the Orcs, where you want something to keep them from locking you into your deployment zone. Because like basically every Tau army you're going to see played right now has a way to put a crew unit like directly 9 inches off of your deployment zone and as like a infiltrate, and then like string those nerds out. And then if they get the first turn, they can scout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean having a infiltrating unit is important, but 3 Nurglings. Bro, you know how many I had on my list at that RT?
How many?
I had 6 units.
Oh, wow.
Bro, people were like, wait, why do you have so many Nurglings? It's like, well, aside from having the world's largest independently owned out-of-print Nurgling collection fully painted, you guys said we were playing with the new point drops. He's like, point drops? It's like, well, half of my shit I brought dropped in points. I don't know what happened to your fucking chaos or to your Eldar nonsense, but like I found myself with all these void of points because Possess went down, Demon Princess went down, everything, like Hellbrew went down. I was like, so I didn't have anything else. So I had to go into my Nurgling drawer and pull out more Nurglings, and this is where we are. And every one of my opponents was like, this is an obnoxious amount of Nurglings, bro. No matter what I do. I was playing one guy and he was, trying to do get my backfield quarter behind enemy lines nonsense. He's like, I'll get back there. It's pretty easy with this small unit. And I was like, he looked and he saw like how the Nurglings were, just a little tiny spot, little tiny units of them, right? And he's like, oh my God, I can't literally go anywhere on the table right now. I was like, nah. He's like, this is unexpected. I love him. God, I want to always run 6 units now. But I'm proud. I'm proud of this Chaos release. I'm proud to be a Chaos player. This is our time. It feels good to have Chaos Space Marines be awesome. We were on Apology Tour since 3.5.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they are the same height of power as 9th edition. But we'll see. Like, I'm probably not going to switch to playing Chaos stuff until, oh man, maybe late June, maybe even July. We'll have to see. So the lists that I make are probably going to get skewed based on points updates between now and then. Things will be a little bit different, but definitely keep my finger on the pulse of stuff.
Renegade says, hey, I heard Chaos was good in 5th. There was like one kind of boogeyman list that existed for Chaos in 5th, but it was not. It was bad. It was like from 3.5 to 8th, and only 8th because of allies, really. But in 5th, there was a boogeyman Rhino list that essentially, because of the way Chaos's rules worked, we were like the guys who could take 5 dudes with 2 special weapons and a combi weapon on the fucking sergeant. Like where Marines couldn't really do that. So there were lists that had like 9 rhinos. And it was just like every unit in every one of those rhinos was like a Havoc squad with a Veteran style squad or a Chosen squad or whatever. It was just 9 rhinos with 5 dude MSU City, dude. Triple special weapons. Every rhino shoot out the hatch. Every rhino had the extra combi weapon on top. Like, that was a boogeyman list that you would hear of in 5th edition. Chaos Space Marines. Now, Chaos Demons, they were good because of Fate Weaver in 5th edition. But yeah. So good talk. Taking us down winners, losers, and what we're excited about Chaos Journey. So let's get out of here and play more Diablo 4.
Yeah.
So take us out of here.
For more content, head over to longwar.net. Become a member of the Long War today.